So ever since I first got into music, I've played multiple instruments. I've always been a band guy as well and like played in bands. I never really got the chance to really showcase the fact that I play multiple instruments. I was always the drummer. However, earlier this year, my band came to an end, and it felt like the first chance for me to really show everything that I could do. And I was just starting to create content on TikTok that was showcasing the fact that I play multiple instruments. So then I kind of had a thought of like, what if my first song had a solo on every instrument? Like, what if there was one song that had a solo on every instrument by the same person? You know, I couldn't think of a song that had done that already, so that was sort of the impetus for Learn the Name. On top of that, I wanted to take the lyrical approach of like, you know, this is my debut. This is my first thing. This is the first time you can hear me in every sense of the word, unrestricted, and just at my full potential. So I ended up taking the lyrics to a very confident place, which is a little different than the way I normally write. I'm not like a super confident person or anything like that, but I wanted these lyrics to be confident because there is a part of me that's very confident and that knows that I'm capable of a lot of cool things. And I wanted that to be what was communicated in the lyrics and what was communicated in my debut overall. So I actually have a couple of voice memos from when I first wrote the chorus. I was on the piano, and let's see what these sound like. I haven't listened to these in a long time. Drumming and band. That became a lyric. Okay, the lyrics are weird, but I was going for like, you don't know me yet. That was kind of like the vibe of the lyrics. You know, I ended up kind of honing in on what I wanted to say, obviously. So here I have a recording of myself once I had a lot of the lyrics in place, just on the piano. Let's hear it.
Yeah, the clouds are coming off, gonna show my worth and leave my mark on the world. They double the rate off as long as I can remember. Yeah, I've been giving it some thought, gonna swing my beat. About damn time y'all learn the name.
Oh, the lyric is different. Stop.
It's diognardi, and it's gonna change the game.
I remember that I don't like that lyric, but I ended it differently there. But yeah, I refined the lyrics, I switched some stuff around, I got the entire song written, so then it was time to produce it. So as good as it, hang on, wait, this is like not good for my back probably at all. Oh! Alright, there we go. It's like one hair. You see it? Okay. So as confident as I was in Learn the Name from a songwriting perspective, I knew that it was the kind of song that needed cool production. It needed cool sounds. It just needed to have a really clear vibe. It needed to be confident and it needed to be bombastic. That was a word that I really kind of had in my head while producing it, was bombastic. I know it's a random word. That's where the idea for the brass came from. The kind of hip-hoppy drums that are still a little bit real feeling. It's got guitar. It's got some live bass at the end. It's got some keys. It's kind of all out. It has a lot of different sounds. It has a lot of different instruments, but I tried to blend them in a way that was cohesive and kind of created a clear vibe and intent for the lyrics. So funny enough, I actually produced an entirely different version of the song before I landed on the final version that you hear today. Well, I wouldn't say it's like entirely different. It just wasn't as refined and it didn't quite have the charisma that I think the final one has. So let me see if I can pull that up for you and show you guys. Hey look, I'm a YouTuber. So I have the chorus here as it originally was when I first produced it. You're gonna hear it sounds pretty similar, but let me play it and see if you can like tell what the differences are.
The fire, the gloves are coming off. Gonna show my worth and leave my mark on the world. I'm staying under the radar for long as I can remember. Yeah, I've been giving it some thought. Gonna swing my pen. About damn time I play the game. It ain't delivery, it's diognardi. You better learn the name.
So yeah, as you can hear, it kind of sounds similar, but there are a couple of key differences that I just really felt like I had to change. It just feels like there's a lot going on. Like you can't really identify any one element in the song. You're just like always being hit with stuff. I ended up making a lot more space in the mix for the final one and leaving some room for the vocals to sit in. So another main difference is the drum and the bass sound. I originally had live drums and live bass in this version, but in the new version I opted to switch it with it's just sample drums and an 808 kind of synth style bass. That actually helped give the song a super clean and modern feel that I was very pleased with. So I also had piano in the track, which I kind of just felt like was mucking up the whole thing. So I took that out entirely. I reworked the guitar part so that it had more space in it again and made room for the vocals and just came in and out at the points where it really could shine and like add something. And then with those changes, I kind of ended up with the final that you hear today. So one challenge I faced when writing the solos was figuring out how to balance the shreddiness with like the tastefulness. I knew that with each solo, with each instrument, I wanted to create something that was like technically impressive and kind of showcased my skill on each instrument, but I also wanted to be tasteful. I don't like when people just shred. You know, it'd be easy for any technical player to get on a song and just shred all day, but I wanted something that was a little more tasteful, and I wanted that on every instrument. And on top of that, all of these instrumental solos had to be able to flow into one another and kind of be looked at as one giant solo and not just 4 individual solos like smushed together. I decided to start it with a bass solo because I thought that was kind of like unique, you know? You don't really hear too many bass solos, period. It's also a little easy on the ears, you know? Kind of gets you eased into what's about to be a little bit of a shred fest. Then after the bass solo, I thought it'd be cool to have a piano solo because I just feel like it's a little bit of a step up in intensity from bass. The solo I came up with goes something like this. So yeah, you get a little bit of that like bluesy note in there. Gives it a little bit more of an old school vibe, which is definitely kind of true to my roots coming from rock and metal. And then guitar I thought was a perfect follow up to that because, you know, guitar is sick and it's like a little bit more climactic. We're kind of getting to the end of the solo section at this point. And yeah, again, I just wanted to start it off kind of slow with something more melodic and then really ramp up the intensity there. Then to finish off the solo section, I ended with a drum solo. I knew that this had to be the end to the solo section because it's just the craziest instrument. It's the most climactic, loud, powerful instrument. What better way to end anything than with a drum solo? Also, there's this thing that happens a lot in like EDM where it's like do 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 do, and then they speed up, and then it's like super fast. You can't even make out the hits anymore, and then it's like, and then the drop kicks in. I always thought that was like a really cool trope of EDM. When I imagined the drum solo, I kind of imagined it having that same effect on the song. So that's why you hear me start out with like 16th notes just going crazy around the top, boom, 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 and then the second, I go to like 16th note triplets and get a little more cymbal involved. Yeah, that way it just kind of like really ramps up and you're just going ballistic before the drop. And then yeah, it drops into that outro. And yeah, that's pretty much how the song came about, and that was sort of my like mentality behind all the decisions I made for this song. This song is really special to me. Definitely a song that I wouldn't have ever expected myself to be able to write. So I was really proud to be able to make this my debut. I hope you enjoyed this little look into the song. I will see you on the next one.